Alright, Brandon here. So there's a bit more snow on the ground, but still clear enough that I can work on it without any real problems. I've got my new tires, and I'm really pleased with these. So they're used, but they're gorgeous, great shape, and I got a really good deal. So shout out to West Street Tire in Brantford. Got lots of parts, big parts haul. So I got lowers, uppers, shocks, tie rod inners, outers, new pads for the rear, parking brake. I painted the spring even, cleaned up the spindles a little bit as best as I could. I wanted to put new wheel bearings on it too, but after looking at it downstairs, it was going to be more of a pain in the ass to get it off, and I just kind of want to get back together, you know. So weather isn't going to get any better from here, so I'm just going to tackle at this beast and good to go. Alright, so I got the new lower control arm here. This one goes in where the ball joint faces downwards. So we got that spot there and there. So it's pretty heavy, so I'm just using my jack kind of here to lift it up as close to in position as I can. Being careful not to drop it because we don't want to mangle up this brand new ball joint. So I'm going to just keep going a little more. And we'll go get the bolts, slide them in there, and then I'll keep it kind of propped up with my jack. Okay, so I got the lower control arm in. Right, so we got the long bolt over that side and the short bolt on this side. So we're good to go. So now we got the upper control arm, right? So it just fits right up in there. Now it's not gonna just slide in there because I never do. So you gotta kind of work out your way going through there. And this is where all the adjustment is, the cam adjustments. So I took a picture of those and kind of marked them, but it's getting an alignment, so I'm not too totally concerned about that. So I'm gonna get this upper control arm in now. Alright, so I got the spring back in, so I couldn't videotape it because it's a little dangerous and you kind of want to just worry about getting it done and not about videotaping it. So basically you just put the spring in the groove down there and then in the top. Put the spindle on the bottom and then you get a jack it up, jack the whole lower control arm until you can reach this top upper control arm and put the bolt on the top of the spindle, and then you can tighten everything up and then you can release the tension from the jack. And then, you know, it's just sitting there like that. So everything is pretty much good to go on this side. Gotta put the shock in and the inner outer tie rod, but in my opinion the hard work is done. For this side, at least. On to the next side. Alright, so I got new shocks here. Shock absorber. Just gonna install that under here. It goes all the way up. Right? And then there's two bolts at the bottom that you gotta put in, and you feed it through the top here. Just a little bit's gonna come out. And then what you do is you get your jack under your lower control arm, and then you jack it up till there's enough space to get the grommet, the washer, and the nut on it. Alright, so I got the jack under the control arm and I jacked it up. And you just kind of guide it through the hole in the top, and then you put your rubber grommet, your steel washer, and your nut. And then you lower the jack down.
Yeah, lower the jack down.
And we're all good. Alright, so I'm at the back here and I got it back together. I got the new parking brake cable on there as well, and I got all new. I replaced all the drum brake on the inner for the parking brake. I don't have any video of it, but like it was insanely hard, especially without taking the hub off. So anyways, it's all new hardware in there, new pads and new cable. And so this side's done, right? So I'm gonna get center caps, and I didn't end up painting that there. Those were the old balancing weights were, but whatever. Pretty much getting sick of this thing by now, but we're getting there. Alright, so I got the van put back together. You know, new front end. Looking pretty sweet. But I knew the water pump was bad, but now it's gotten so bad I have no choice but to do it now, with it being winter and everything. So now I'm gonna work on the water pump. You can see it's friggin' pretty cold. You know, this is ice, and that's a brand new windshield that I just got put in yesterday. So hopefully it's okay. It's all set and whatever. So we're gonna tackle this water pump. Right, and I got a problem with the headlights, the low beam, and I had some issues with the other lights like the blinkers and the brake lights, and the fuse box is a mess. So I might have to just bypass the low beam light and just hardwire it right into the van to get it through the safety. The high beams work, and they're not very bright. So like the high beams on these old style lights are less bright than the new LED and HID and whatever heck lights they use these days. So I'm gonna get at this. So the first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm going to take off the battery. So it's just a 8mm socket on this particular battery. It's a side post. Just gonna loosen that. Actually, I guess I should take the power off first, because if you have the power on and then you touch and you take off the ground and then you touch the vehicle, well, then your battery's still hooked up. So you should always disconnect the power first. At least that's what I was told. Never really looked into it. Alright, so I got that off. And then there's that. Everything's sticking, the sockets are sticking to the metal because it's so friggin' cold. Alright, so we got the battery disconnected. Okay, now the next thing we do is we're gonna take off this coolant tank. So it's a 10 mil. Alright, so I got my 10mm on here now. Ooh. So I'm gonna just, I've already started this. I'm just gonna take this bolt off. Okay. Now this tank should just come right out. See how it pulls out of those slot there, right? And then I can put that way over there. Put the nut, or bolt, I should say, back in. Probably clean that up on my wire wheel. Okay. So now, I guess we can take this air filter off. So we got the battery already disconnected, so it's safe to pull these plugs. Okay, so I took out these two 10mm bolts here. I left that plug in for now because I couldn't really figure it out. When I get it off and away, I'll look at it again.
There's a motor there.
But then you undo this clamp here, and then this whole assembly will come off. In fact, you don't even have to undo that clip because it just moves out of the way. Well, as you can see, it freaking is snowing pretty good right now. Big, huge chunks. So I got that moved out of the way. Don't actually even have to take that plug off, so that's fine. And now what I did is I gotta undo these clips here for the wires, and this one here for the hose. And then there's bolts that go all the way around the perimeter. See, like that right there. So I'm gonna take those out because this is a two-piece fan shroud. So take the top part out first. We gotta loosen these bolts off. Okay, so I'm in this makeshift friggin' shelter I've made, and I've got the shroud out and I've got the fan off. So really there's a special tool that you can use where there's two holes. See those two holes? It's like a wrench you'd use for, like, say your angle grinder, but a larger diameter. But what you can do is, if you get a wrench on it that size, I think it was it's fairly big, 48 mil I think. So I got this clutch removal kit. It comes with the right size wrench, but here, actually I'll double check that just to make sure what size that is. Ooh, there goes my light. It's not ideal working conditions in here. Okay, this is getting crazy. Alright, so there's the bolt. So, no, let's see what it is. Okay, so a 36 mil size bolt. And what you can do is the fan, when the fan's on there, right, is you can get your wrench on there and you want to turn it anti-clockwise. And if you get your hammer and you just put it on there and you just tap the top going that way and you just keep working at it, it should break loose. So mine did, and mine's pretty bad, pretty corroded, everything. Okay, so I got the fan off, I got the water pump off. There's the one inlet for the water pump, and then there's the second one. So we got the two hoses over here that feed the heater core, right? And then there's this big hose down here which goes into where the thermostat is. And then this hose, which come all the way across over here, I've just kind of put it up. This is the hose that comes from the top. So if you look at the old water pump, right? So this is how it sits in the van. Okay, we got the two hoses here I was referring to, and then this is that big long hose that I pushed off to the side, and then on here is where your thermostat is. So it's a separate housing with a extension with the tube, and that's where that big one on the bottom went. And then there's 6 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what's holding the water pump to the engine. And then these 3, 2 long ones and 1 short one, are holding the tensioner pulley. So I took that off too because mine is wrecked. the spring wasn't working, and the bearing and it was shot and it was warped, and it's just totally no good. So I got a new one of those coming, so I'll get that hopefully before the end of the night, and I'm probably gonna be working into the night on this because I just want to get it done. But however, I've noticed that not only is the water pump leaking, I think the radiator is actually leaking as well. So I don't know, it's almost $300 for a new radiator, but if I call the scrapyard or the wreckers, I guess, maybe they'll have one that's decent, and then I'll put the new water pump or the new radiator, but I can put the water pump back in and still do that. So I'm going to put the new water pump in, new pulley tensioner, new serpentine belt, new thermostat and housing, and that should be good to go. Alright, so I got the new water pump in, I got all the hoses hooked up, got a new belt here I'm going to put in. Friggin', it's dark, still pretty cold, but it's kind of turned to rain, and now this is all water. So I got to be careful, but I'm almost done. So I got to put this belt on, and then the fan, and then the shroud, and then the air filter, or air intake, I guess, and I'm done, and we're good. All right, so I got the van done just in the nick of time. Oh, almost slipped there. So you got lots of snow, obviously, overnight. Alright, so I got it running. I'm just bleeding the air out of the coolant lines. Sounds pretty good, running alright. There's a little bit of hiccup, but because there's quite a bit of air in the lines, but it's going down. Alright, so here's the van. She just passed the safety test. You know, I did some really quick kind of body repairs, and it's already kind of rusting, but it was good for when I did it through the test. So she's on the road and she's ready to go, and now I'm gonna work on the inside doing my conversion. So when springtime comes, I'll redo the body work and go over it again, because obviously pretty bad conditions right now.